Hello, good morning. Welcome to Global News on Signature TV. I am Christopher Lele. In the headlines, Southeast Caucus urges President Tinubu to grant clemency to Nnamdi Kanu. Growing fear, feeding trust. Nigerians speak on rising insecurity. Ukraine's ex-mufti, lawmakers slam US-backed 28-point peace plan. And Barca getting healthier ahead of Chelsea clash, says Flick. Details shortly. The Southeast Caucus of the House of Representatives has appealed to President Bola Tinubu to exercise his constitutional powers by granting a presidential pardon to the detained leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, following his recent conviction. Addressing journalists in Abuja, the leader of the caucus, Idoma Agariwe, who spoke on behalf of 43 other lawmakers, said the group acknowledges and respects the judiciary and the legal processes that resulted in Kanu's conviction. He noted that the issue has evolved into a national concern with far-reaching humanitarian, economic and security implications for the Southeast and Nigeria as a whole. The lawmakers argued that Kanu's continued detention has heightened regional tensions, disrupted economic and social activities, and inflicted emotional strain on families and communities across the Southeast. They maintained that a presidential pardon would help de-escalate tensions, restore public confidence, and reduce the cycle of unrest and heavy security operations in the region.
After extensive deliberation, the caucus resolved to humbly appeal to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, to consider a political and humanitarian intervention using the constitutional powers granted under Section 175 of the 1999 Constitution to grant pardon to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Our appeal is grounded on the following considerations. 1. We believe that the continued detention of Mazi Kanu has contributed significantly to tension and agitation in the Southeast. Despite numerous calls for calm, the atmosphere remains strained. A presidential act of mercy at this time has the potential to de-escalate tensions, restore normalcy, and reduce the cycle of security operations and civil resistance. 2. Beyond its political nature, this matter has taken a deep emotional toll on families, communities, and the general population. The Southeast has experienced profound social disruptions in the form of closed markets, interrupted schooling, reduced commercial activity, and fear. A political resolution will ease these human burdens and allow communities to return to a dignified life. Thirdly, Nigeria has, in critical moments, relied on presidential magnanimity to heal divisions and consolidate peace. Indeed, the authors of our Constitution, and I mean the 1999 Constitution, conceived of Section 175 in anticipation that the bare dictates of the law may sometimes prove insufficient in tackling complex legal issues that are better handled politically via presidential discretion. It is our belief that an act of clemency by the President would resonate deeply across the country as a symbol of inclusiveness, fairness, and leadership that prioritizes healing over division.
Analysts agree with the Southeast Caucus that while the judiciary has played its role, the matter now calls for a broader national perspective. According to them, a presidential pardon would contribute to easing tensions and promote dialogue, peace, stability, and national cohesion. The United Kingdom has rejected a request from the Nigerian government to transfer former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu to Nigeria to complete his prison sentence. With the latest decision, Ekweremadu will remain in the UK to serve out the remainder of his sentence. Ekweremadu is serving time in a UK facility after he was found guilty in 2023 of plotting to harvest the kidney of a young man. He received a jail term of 9 years and 8 months following the conviction, which stemmed from a high-profile organ trafficking case that drew international attention. A source at the UK Ministry of Justice confirmed to The Guardian, a UK-based newspaper, that the request was rejected. According to the report, the UK government is concerned about how the federal government might handle the case if the former lawmaker is transferred to Nigeria. A UK government spokesperson told the newspaper that any prisoner transfer is at the discretion of the UK government, following a careful assessment of whether if it would be in the interests of justice. Preparations are intensifying for what may become one of Nigeria's most significant constitutional updates in 25 years. At a joint retreat in Abuja, lawmakers say the decisions made now could redefine how power and resources are managed across the nation. As Nigerians' insecurity challenges get more problematic, many Nigerians seem not to have the confidence that things will get better soon. Correspondent Chimeze Nzedima was out in the streets of Abuja to get the opinion of some residents on insecurity situation in the country and how they think it can be tackled.
At the second joint retreat of the Senate and House Committees on Constitutional Review in Abuja, Deputy Speaker and Committee Chairman Benjamin Kanu said the political future of more than 200 million Nigerians hang on the decisions now before lawmakers. Kanu noted that the ongoing reforms will redefine governance, federalism, and the management of power, resources, and security across the Federation.
Section 9 of the 1999 Constitution as amended requires that all alteration to the Constitution must be approved by at least 2/3 of the House of Assembly of the Federation. This means that no matter how brilliant, how necessary, or how popular our amendments may be, they will not become law without the support of at least 24 out of 36 states' Houses of Assembly. State domestication is therefore the constitutional gateway through which every amendment must pass. The success or failure of this constitutional review will ultimately be determined not here in Abuja alone, but in the 36 state assemblies across the Federation.
With governors set for a crucial briefing on November 26th, the National Assembly says the next phase will test the nation's political will. Deputy Senate President Jibrin Barau, who chairs the Senate Committee on Constitutional Review, said the Senate remains committed to meaningful reforms. He explained that the retreat aims to adopt earlier resolutions, review subcommittee reports, and advance legislative work, including proposals on state and local government creation.
Our meeting today will be less deliberative, except where there is a substantive motion to reconsider any issue already concluded in the last meeting. Because the purpose of this meeting is to approve the positions reached previously and to receive reports from the subcommittees constituted to take further legislative actions on some of the bills and the issue of state and local government creation that were referred to these two committees.
Speaker of Gombe State House of Assembly, Abubakar Mohammed, who represented the Conference of Speakers of State Houses of Assembly, pledged the support of state legislatures as critical and strategic partners in national development.
As we gather here today for what has been described as the final retreat before the transmission of outcome to the State Houses of Assembly, it is clear that our joint efforts are yielding tangible progress. This retreat offers an opportunity to further appreciate the intention, objectives, and constitutional implication behind the proposed amendments.
The retreat brought together federal lawmakers, state speakers, and key stakeholders for what is considered the final engagement before the National Assembly votes on the amendment bills. Attention will thereafter shift to the states where their approval will determine whether Nigeria finally achieves the long-awaited constitutional milestone.
Governor Nasir Idris of Kebbi State has called on President Bola Tinubu to urgently review Nigeria's security architecture following last week's abduction of schoolgirls from Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School, Maga community area of the state. Idris made the appeal on Monday while receiving the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, who led the federal delegation to Benin Kebbi to commiserate with the government and people of the state. Abbas condemned the abduction, describing it as heartbreaking and totally unacceptable assault on the children. He said the House of Representatives stood firmly with the people of Kebbi State and urged the government to honor the slain vice principal. Abbas announced a donation of 20 million naira to the family of the late vice principal and 10 million naira to the family of the slain watchman. In his response, the governor expressed appreciation for the visit, but maintained that he was still waiting for answers from the military regarding the security lapses that allowed the attack. He added that the attack was part of a wider threat to Nigeria's stability. Idris also accepted the Speaker's request to rename the school in honor of the vice principal. The Southwest Governors Forum is set to create a Southwest Regional Security Fund to strengthen responses to insecurity in the region. This initiative aims to address the rise in kidnapping, banditry, illegal mining, and unregulated interstate migration. The decision was reached during a meeting of the 6 governors on Monday at the Governor's Office Secretariat, Ibadan, Oyo State. In the communique issued at the end, it was agreed that all 6 states would support coordinated operations, joint intelligence sharing, and rapid response initiatives across Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Osun, Ondo, and Ekiti states. The governors also emphasized that the establishment of the state police can no longer be delayed. They applauded President Bola Tinubu for security interventions in states affected by kidnappings, while urging sustained attention on regional developments. The Bauchi state government has ordered the immediate closure of all schools in the state amid escalating security concerns. The directive affects primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions, both public and private, including federal government-owned schools. The announcement was issued on Monday by the Public Relations Officer of the State Ministry of Education, Jalaluddin Usman. Usman said the decision followed extensive consultations and a thorough assessment of threats to the safety of students, teachers, and school communities. He acknowledged that the closure may inconvenience parents and learners, but stressed that protecting children remains the government's highest priority. Usman appealed for calm from parents, guardians, and school owners, assuring them that the government is working with the security agencies to address the situation and restore normalcy soon. Parents are still desperately searching for their children days after armed gunmen abducted students and teachers in the latest mass kidnapping to hit the country's troubled northwest region. Njikonye, a mother whose child was among those taken, sat on the ground near St. Mary's Private Catholic Secondary School, distraught at finding no trace of her missing child. Emmanuel Bala, chairman of the school's Parents Teachers Association, confirmed that no children had been returned. Martha Matthias, a teacher at the school, recounted the harrowing ordeal in which her husband was taken. She told reporters that armed men initially tied up her husband and demanded she come out as well.
I came to the school, I'm here searching and looking whether I will see any child that I returned, but I have not seen any child.
Honestly speaking, I didn't see any child that was returned or brought back here in this school in the name of maybe they rescued him or he came back. I didn't witness that one.
Asked my husband to come out. When he came out, they now tied me. They now said me too, I should come out. Then Nathan now started crying. I said, I want to go and carry my baby. When I went to carry Nathan, Adam and now went to people standing in front. She now started shouting.
Nigeria's north suffers from widespread insecurity ranging from a jihadist insurgency in the northeast to armed gangs known as bandits in the northwest who carry out kidnappings for ransom and hide in forests. President Bola Tinubu's administration says a high-level Nigerian delegation has reached an understanding with U.S. officials to work together in tackling Nigeria's long-running security challenges. Led by National Security Advisor Malam Nuhu Ribadu, the delegation met last week with senior officials from the U.S. Congress, the White House Faith Office, the State Department, the National Security Council, and the U.S. Department of War. The talks focused partly on allegations of a Christian genocide in Nigeria. According to Presidential aide Bayo Naduga, the engagement will strengthen security cooperation between both countries and open new channels for protecting Nigerian citizens. He added that the Nigerian delegation used the meetings in Washington, D.C. to refute claims of genocide, stressing that violent attacks in the country cut across both genocides, both religious and ethnic groups. Onanuga said both sides agreed to immediately implement a non-binding cooperation framework and set up a joint working group to coordinate their areas of collaboration. Operatives of the Benue State Police Command have arrested 3 suspects linked to the recent deadly attack on Anwule community in Ohimili local government area. The suspects, identified as Issa Peter and Moses Peter from Agatu local government area, along with a Fulani herdsman, were apprehended after weeks of investigation. Issa, the acting commander of the Aguma Community Vigilante Group, reportedly used a community-owned firearm to carry out the attack. During interrogation, Issa claimed he acted on the orders of a man known as Pepper, who allegedly supplied the weapon. He also confessed to taking part in several violent incidents along Utopo-Aweto Highway. Human rights activist Mehdi Olotu condemned the development, saying it is alarming that those meant to protect communities are now contributing to insecurity. The police says investigations are ongoing and more arrests are expected as they work to dismantle the network behind the attacks. Up ahead, Fugbara inspects new Rivers Assembly Complex, targets December completion. No extension of deadline for ground rent payments, says FCT Minister. Details of these and more after the break. The Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fugbara, has announced that the 2026 appropriation bill will be presented at the new Rivers State House of Assembly complex, currently under construction by his administration. The governor made this known on Monday after inspecting the progress of work at the site, expressing satisfaction with the level of advancement recorded so far. He disclosed that to fast-track completion, the main contractor, MCC, has subcontracted the interior furnishing to Julius Berger. He expressed the hope that the main building, now undergoing reconstruction following the demolition of the previous structure after the fire incident during the political crisis, will be ready by December.
It is our desire to ensure that the assembly returns back to their normal and rightful place of sitting. So this job has been on. You even remember what happened when the administrator was on, when it was believed that we weren't doing anything about the state of the complex. So I came here today to see for myself what is going on and the extent of work. I feel very impressed with what I've seen, and more especially the contractor just informed me that to fast-track the delivery of this place according to our projection, that the interior and every other work that has to do with outside the external jobs have already been subletted to a reputable company, Julius Berger, that they will commence the work of the interior as soon as possible. And I strongly believe that before the end of December, this particular place should be set. Maybe when they come in, the other side of the complex that is not part of the major work we're doing will be handled by the speaker himself. But this particular one for their sitting, I will make sure that I put it ready, make it ready for them.
The death of Senator Oke Ezia, who represented Enugu North Senatorial District in the 10th Senate, has continues to elicit an outpouring of grief among Nigerians. Those who spoke to correspondent Nasir Usman described the passing of the senator at the age of 62 as a major setback for Enugu North and the wider southeast political landscape.
It's unfortunate because he will be missed in his contributions to the nation and Igbo nation in particular. So I pray that his soul rest in peace.
Okay, young man is a sad loss. He was up and doing, and he was a very progressive young man. When I heard the news this morning, it was quite saddening. May God grant his soul repose, let him rest in peace, and then grant his family, and of course the entire Igbo land, and of course Nigeria, because he was a sitting senator, the fortitude to bear the loss. It was a very sad loss.
It is a very big blow to not just to Enugu North, where he represents, but the entire Southeast and the entire Igbo people. It happened to be one of our most illustrious sons. So the only word I have is for God to accept his soul and give the family the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss.
Sad thing that he's come this far, only to be cut short at this stage. Yeah. But we thank God for everything. God knows the best. The sadness, we can't underscore that, but we accept it in equanimity.
Well, it has happened. Who are we to ask God why? So everybody must go the same way, but we have different days, different time. But we just pray that God should accept him in his bosom. And then I wish the family, then we condole with the family. It's a very big loss. As much as he's representing the vast number of people at the house there. So it's a very big loss to we in the Igbo.
He was more like a giant killer, an incumbent governor at that time from that same senatorial zone. So there is no Igbo young man who is into politics or even business that I don't have a faint idea of his antecedents. And I know that Senator Okezia is a big asset, not only to the senatorial zone, but to the entire Igbo race. So we have lost a veritable defender of the people's democratic rights.
As Nigerians' insecurity challenges get more problematic, many Nigerians seem not to have the confidence that things will get better soon. Correspondent Chimezie Ndedema was out in the streets of Abuja to get the opinion of some residents on the insecurity situation in the country and how they can be tackled.
There have been a series of kidnappings, killings. Now recently, 2 days ago, the Niger State government just declared shutdown of the entire both public and private schools. Look at what happened in Kwara State. Now, if you look at all those things, I believe even the so-called the bandits and the terrorists, it is that declaration that's actually, to me, that's in kind of engineered all those recent kidnapping, because they believe that by the time they get hold of all those victims, they will use them as a shield. By the time the American government comes, it will be difficult for them to strike. But you cannot strike where a terrorist who is holding on to about 500 to 300 to 500 primary school people. I mean, it's but I believe the economy will help.
For the terrorism and genocide that is happening in this country, somehow I may say nothing is above government. But as far as government refuses to do anything, we have the world power. If world power can bring the solution, to me, I prefer the US to intervene if US can bring the solution of this country. But in other way around, that will not be the best, because the US cannot remain in Nigeria forever. So the best thing is good for Nigeria to reason and resolve the problem by itself.
Once you have a problem here, you talk about the government, that you are not confident with what government are doing. Actually, the security will trace you and come and apprehend you. But while you can see the terrorists are going up and down doing video in the social media, while the government, we have all the intelligence, they can track these people down. So they fail. I think coming to America is to intervene. I think it is the solution.
Since our president and his team is not able to secure our lives and properties, there is even need for foreign intervention as regarding the protection of our lives and properties. Our military, they are trying, not that they are not trying, but it's like they don't have good support from the government. So that's why I suggest if the foreign military will come and help us, because I believe they will not wait for the order from our government or from our chief of army staff. Is what the foreign country has them to do. That's what they do. That's why I suggest they should come and help us.
If you check all the rallying points all over the country, most of the people was even supporting it. Let Trump come and see how we can assist Nigeria, because it's like our government agencies are part and parcel of what's happening. You can hear from almost all the radio stations, all the TV stations. You can hear some of the people saying that yes, there are some people that are involved in this government that are sponsoring these bandits and even terrorists in this country. So we welcome that development. If there's any way you can come to assist Nigeria, let him come.
Our government, we don't know what they are doing. Yes, because this country now, the way this country is going on now, we don't know what our leaders are doing. So maybe help from somewhere will help us. Maybe we move forward. Because we cannot solve our problem ourselves. So definitely, I think foreign intervention inside this our Nigerian government now, I think is very, very important. It's helpful.
The new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, on Monday called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and the public to disregard the purported congresses held by the Kwankwasia movement, led by Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, describing the exercise as illegal. In a statement signed by the National Secretary Ogini Olaposi, the NPP said all the congresses ordered by the court have already been conducted and concluded. The party emphasized that the Caucus group has no authority to organize congresses on its behalf, noting that the memorandum of association signed with the group ahead of the 2023 presidential election has since expired. It added that Kwankwaso and several members of his faction remain expelled for alleged anti-party activities. The NNPP also urged INEC to uphold court rulings by recognizing and publishing the party's authentic leadership on its website. Both the Abia State High Court and the FCT High Court, the statement noted, have affirmed the expulsion of Kwankwaso and his group from the party's internal processes. The party accused INEC of being fully aware of these judgments, yet still entertaining groups attempting to sow crisis within Nigeria's democratic system. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has officially joined the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Atiku made the announcement on Monday through his X handle, posting a photo of himself holding his ADC membership card with a brief caption, "It's official." His move follows his July resignation from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, which had been mired in a prolonged internal crisis. The move has formalized his association with the coalition party, which he had previously endorsed in July as a platform for opposition figures, including Peter Obi and Babachir Lawal, to challenge President Bola Tinubu in 2027. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Barrister Nyesom Wike, has warned ground rent defaulters in the FCT that there will be no further extension on the payment deadline. Wike gave the warning in Abuja on Monday while addressing journalists shortly after inspecting ongoing key infrastructure projects in Wuse and Life Camp areas of the FCT. He noted that the 2-week and the presidential grace periods granted defaulters 4 months ago had long elapsed, stressing that this is the last opportunity for defaulters to pay. Speaking of the format the enforcement was going to take, Wike said officials of the FCTA will seal up the premises of defaulters while the properties will revert to the FCTA administration. The minister, while noting that the transitway N2 was being executed through emergency funding, also assured of adequate funding for the arterial road N5 in the FCT's 2025 budget. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says ongoing projects in the FCT are currently being funded from the administration's own budget. Wike explained that the federal government has not yet released the 2025 budget allocation for the FCT. He made the disclosure while speaking to journalists after inspecting the 6-lane road under construction from Life Camp Junction to Ring Road 3 near Kanu on Monday. According to him, the FCTA has been implementing its budget independently and has not received any funds from the national budget this year, though he expressed confidence that releases would come before this year's end. Wike also responded to questions about the bus terminals commissioned earlier in the year, noting that the administration is addressing issues surrounding their current non-use. The Enugu State Electricity Regulatory Commission, EERC, has warned Main Power Electricity Distribution Limited against indiscriminate creation of new customer accounts without the provision of meters, describing it as a direct violation of regulatory framework. The statement noted that multiple complaints have been received from customers alleging that Main Power has been creating new accounts in the names of existing customers without supplying them with dedicated meters, thereby subjecting them to additional estimated bills. The Commission warned that every new connection must include a properly installed meter and accessories as specified in the metering code, emphasizing that the materials and meters required for such connections are the sole responsibility of the service provider. It also urged affected customers to report any such infractions for enforcement action, while encouraging unmetered customers and new subscribers to take advantage of the Meter Asset Provider scheme, which allows customers to fund their meters upfront with guaranteed refunds under Commission-approved terms. Coming up next is business news.
At the end of the first weekday of trading, Monday, November 24th, on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, investors traded 694.7 million shares in 24,026 deals valued at 28.66 billion naira. This marks an improvement compared with last Friday's session, with volume up by 6%, turnover rising by 12%, and deals increasing by 28%. The market capitalization now stands at 92.3 trillion naira. A total of 130 listed equities participated in the trading session, closing with 17 gainers and 26 losers. eTransact International led the gainers chart with a 9.06% rise to 14 naira 45 kobo per share, followed by International Energy Insurance up 8.49%, closing at 2 naira 30 kobo per share, Macnicos with an increase of 7%, closing at 2 naira 75 kobo per share, and CNI Leasing with an increase of 5.47%, closing at 5 naira 59 kobo per share. On the losing side, NPF Microfinance Bank dipped 7.85% to 2 naira 70 kobo per share, ahead of Prestige Assurance losing 7.48% to close at 1 naira 36 kobo per share. The benchmark NGX All-Share Index fell by 108.01 points, representing a 0.08% decline to close at 143,614.61. Despite the drop, the index shows a one-week loss of 1.06%, a four-week decline of 7.64%, but still maintains a strong year-to-date gain of 39.53%. The Nigerian foreign exchange market on Monday, November 24th, traded at 1,470 naira per dollar on the sell side, while the buy rate stood at 1,458 naira at the parallel market. At the official window, the Central Bank of Nigeria quoted the naira at 1,453 naira 3 kobo to the US dollar. The rates reflect stable market conditions as traders continue to monitor liquidity levels and demand across the different FX windows. That's the update from the Nigerian stock and money market. In Abuja, I am Tomsinime Natus.
Venezuela's VP Rodriguez rebukes U.S. military pressure. NBA's Chauncey Billups pleads not guilty in rigged poker games case. Do stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
A Ukrainian lawmaker and an ex-Mufti voiced sharp criticism of the US-backed 28-point peace plan. The US blindsided Kyiv and European countries with its 28-point peace plan last week, giving Ukraine until Thursday to agree to a framework to end Europe's deadliest war since World War II. The plan would require Kyiv to cede more territory, accept curbs on its military, and bar it from ever joining NATO. Conditions Kyiv has long rejected as tantamount to surrender. In a joint statement, Washington and Kyiv said they had drafted a refined peace framework after talks in Geneva on Sunday. Though there were no specifics, the dialogue received a cautious welcome from some of Ukraine's allies.
It is outrageous that the American administration has in fact proposed Russian demands for capitulation of Ukraine. It came as a complete surprise. And people were offended. This plan is so disgusting and vile that the officers and soldiers I know said, "No, we're going to keep fighting. We don't want to surrender." This is, in fact, a capitulation plan. It is a terrible humiliation for all the soldiers, both those who are fighting and those who are defending Ukraine. It is a slap in the face to them and to their hearts. Let's be honest. In this plan, everything is unacceptable. It is unacceptable that we are being forced to give up our Ukrainian land, which is enshrined in our constitution. Tens of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers died defending this land. We are being asked to once again accept Russian propaganda, the Russian church, the Russian language, and to forgive all traitors.
To have peace in Europe and worldwide, it is necessary to stop Russia, which is not to cross the red lines of territorial integrity, of Ukrainian armed forces, of Ukrainian national identity, which was so important and which was actually protected within Minsk agreements and is not protected under the circumstances we see.
U.S. President Donald Trump said he held a very good phone call with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Monday, during which the leaders discussed the war in Ukraine, fentanyl trafficking, and a deal for farmers. Trump also said he had accepted Xi's invitation to visit China in April and that Xi would visit the U.S. later in the year. The United States urged countries on Monday to back President Donald Trump's 20-point plan for Gaza, while others warned of growing Israeli settler violence in the West Bank. Palestinian envoy Riyad Mansour warned that Palestinians were still being killed and injured despite the ceasefire, accusing Israel of undermining the truce through continued displacement, occupation, and annexation.
Today Marco Rubio, came out with another rehash, saying the Cartel of the Suns is now a terrorist organization. Ridiculous. They are ridiculous. They repeat and repeat and repeat, and that's why they go from failure to failure. The tale about drug trafficking, what tale? If they really wanted to fight drug trafficking, they would have to go to Ecuador and look right there in the presidency of the Republic, which has the main company exporting cocaine to the world, hidden in its banana distribution.
Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez on Monday dismissed as ridiculous a U.S. decision to designate the Cartel de Los as a foreign terrorist organization, accusing Washington of recycling old allegations and deflecting attention from drug trafficking in other countries. The designation, announced earlier this month by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, targets what Washington says is a network of Venezuelan officials involved in shipping narcotics to the United States. U.S. officials claim the group includes President Nicolas Maduro and senior military leaders, adding terrorism-related sanctions to a long list of measures already imposed on Caracas. Rodriguez, speaking at a public event in Caracas, said the accusations were politically motivated and pointed to Ecuador as a major hub for cocaine exports. The move comes as tensions rise in the Caribbean, where the United States has increased its military presence near Venezuelan waters. Analysts say the foreign terrorist organization designation does not authorize military action through U.S. The Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth told One American News the measure would bring a whole bunch of new options to the United States. Washington has also accused Cartel de Los of working with Tren de Aragua, a Venezuelan gang previously labeled an FTO, to move narcotics through Latin America. Opposition is growing in DeKalb County, the fourth most populous county in Georgia, to a proposed hyperscale data center in Ellenwood, a majority black community. In July, county commissioners put a 100-day pause on new data center applications so they could create rules for the rapidly growing industry, which is expanding across Metro Atlanta because of demand from major AI companies like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and X. Other residents raised concerns about health risks, environmental harm, and the impact of placing huge industrial sites in predominantly black neighborhoods.
I did as the computer room, right? It's very nebulous, might be a floor, 2, 3 floors in a building. And so there was not a lot of concern. But then we found out about the Ellenwood project, and then we learned about hyperscale, large data campuses. And this is a whole different thing than a data center that we're familiar with.
I'm a senior citizen, and anything that doesn't help my health, my neighbor's health, or whatever, is detrimental to us. And with that data center having it taking up 1 million square feet and being so close to our neighborhood, it's not helping us. It's not helping us. And I'm tired of being last in line all the time.
So-called broligarchs are doing everything they can to shove this down all Americans and other country people's throat as if this is inevitable, and all that it's about is that they want to make trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars.
The DeKalb County Commission plans to take up the proposal again on December 16, but the vote might be pushed back if they hold another town hall. The pause on new data center applications is also set to end that same day. The project would span 1 million square feet, making it the largest data center in Georgia. Portland Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups pleaded not guilty in Brooklyn Federal Court on Monday in a sweeping criminal case accusing the NBA Hall of Famer of conspiring with the mafia to rig illicit poker games. The arraignment took place during a hearing for all 31 defendants in the case. Prosecutors said they orchestrated an elaborate scheme using pro athletes' star power to lure victims to card games, then cheat them using high-tech equipment. Billups' lawyer Mark McCarthy entered the plea on his behalf before U.S. District Judge Ramon Ray. Billups is charged with fraud and money laundering conspiracy. He has denied wrongdoing through his attorneys. Former Cleveland Cavaliers guard Damon Jones was also charged in the case, along with alleged members of New York's La Cosa Nostra organized crime families. They have all pleaded not guilty. The case is related to a criminal probe of alleged bet rigging by pro athletes, which coincides with the explosion of legal sports betting in the U.S. in recent years. The charges against Billups were unveiled in October alongside a related case charging Jones and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier with using insider knowledge to rig bets on NBA games between 2022 and 2024. Jones and Rozier have pleaded not guilty. Hansi Flick was optimistic Barcelona are getting back to full strength with forward Rafinha and Marcus Rashford returning to bolster the squad ahead of Tuesday's Champions League clash away to Chelsea. Brazilian winger Rafinha made his return from a 2-month injury layoff in Barca's 4-0 win at home to Athletic Bilbao, coming on a sub for the last 10 minutes. Rashford, meanwhile, missed out on that match, the first at the newly refurbished Camp Nou due to illness. Speaking to a press conference in London on Monday, Flick also said midfielder Pedri will not be available for Chelsea, but is expected back soon. Barcelona sits 11th in the Champions League table with 7 points from the first 4 matches, the same return as Chelsea, who sit 1 spot below them in 12th due to goal differences. Both teams will be looking to close the gap on the top 8 after drawing in the last round of matches. And coming up next is the entertainment news.
Nigerian rapper and singer Okafor Uchenna Victor, widely known as Mr. Real, has voiced deep concern over the growing insecurity across the country. In a post shared on his social media pages, the artist disclosed that he recently had a disturbing dream in which armed bandits allegedly infiltrated Lagos. He said the dream appeared unusually vivid, noting that in it, the attackers were abducting people from nightclubs and office buildings. Mr. Real added that his concerns stem from the fact that many of his dreams in the past has eventually manifested in reality. The singer urged residents to remain vigilant, adding that his intention was not to cause fear, but to raise awareness about the current security climate. Mr. Real's concern comes less than 2 days after the Areona Kakanfo of Yorubaland, Gani Adams, raised an alarm warning that armed groups have infiltrated several communities in the southwest with plans to launch coordinated attacks. According to Adams, the group are targeting Oyo, Ekiti, Ondo, and even Lagos states. Nigerian singer Kingsley Okonkwo, popularly known as KC, have revealed the secret for his consistency in the music industry. The Limpopo Crooner explained that unlike some of his colleagues who often get discouraged when they are struggling to score hit songs, he works harder by releasing more songs when in similar situations. Speaking in an interview, Casey stated that releasing more songs increases the chances of scoring hit song. The singer said he has experienced so many difficult times in the music industry, but people rarely notice because he is always appearing flamboyant in public regardless of his situation. He also spoke about how positive manifestation has impacted his life. Popular Fuji musician Abbas Akande, also known as Obesere, has called for the Ondo state government to fish out and prosecute those who allegedly attacked him and destroyed his musical equipment in the state. Some suspected thugs allegedly attacked the Fuji music in Okitipupa town, the headquarters of Okitipupa local government area of Ondo State on Friday. In a statement issued by the media manager of the musician, Ayonla Atlantic, posted on the Facebook page of Sidophonia Progressive FC on Sunday, the musician expressed sadness over the incident, calling on the people in authority to act to prevent future occurrence of such. Reggae star and actor James Chambers, popularly known as Jimmy Cliff, is dead. According to a note posted on his social media channels, the entertainer died due to a seizure followed by pneumonia. And that's the entertainment news. I'm Queenette Nwokonta, Signature TV News.
That's the news this hour. I am Christopher Lele. Coming up shortly is Signature Morning. Do stay with us.